Hello everybody and welcome back to the Legend of Dragoon. My name's Cody, and in the last exciting episode we started off Disc 4. In this episode we're going to be heading through this desert. Look, I'll be honest, it's a bit of a maze. But what I've done is I've just looked up the map to this because there's a bunch of items you can get, and it's about going into very specific whirlpools. So it's a bit of trial and error if you haven't done it before. So I've collected a few items off screen. Notably, there's some bandit shoes which increase speed for the male characters can all equip them. There's the Gladius, which is a new weapon for Rose. And there's a Power Down, which is another repeat item, which, so as in you can use it once in any battle and it will reappear at the start of the next battle. So you reach the second oasis. You can also heal up here if you've taken any damage. Not me, because I dodged them all. And from here what you want to do is we want to go, let's see, we'll go up and then we'll go left. Sorry, I don't want to mess this up. And then we go up, right, and then up. So I could do a bit of grinding here, but honestly, I'm not underleveled for this part. I've ran into an enemy, huh? Alright, so it's been, as I was saying at the start of the last episode, it's been a long adventure to make it this far. It's been more than 5 years. Thank you to everyone who stuck with us so far. And to all the people who I messaged, who used to comment on old videos, and then I messaged them about the fact that I was back, and then they started watching again. Thanks to you guys too. If you're watching this, leave a comment, introduce yourself. Like, who are you? What kind of stuff do you usually like to watch? And I'll respond, because I've been good about responding to comments lately. I want to get to know some of these RPG fans, because I might want to do some more RPGs after this. But I'm curious how many of the people on my channel are following for JRPG-like content. Is that the kind of thing you're interested in seeing? Even if an adventurer is lucky enough to make it through the Death Frontier, no one can proceed from here. Time was stopped for me 11,000 years ago with the spell of this choker. So that's, I assume that's whatever she's wearing around her neck. I'm not that familiar with women's fashion, but it's something that she's wearing that made her essentially immortal from aging for the past 11,000 years. And yeah, she's been doing all this with the help of the Winglies. More specifically, this group of Winglies, who obviously are having a great time of it because they have cloaking technology, and that's how I suppose they've been keeping out of the eyes of the humans' way for the past 11,000 years. So let's go visit some Winglies that are a bit more informed than the last group we saw. As you know from Disc 3, the Winglies, they seem to be in little magical pockets all around the world. That aren't necessarily informed as to what's going on. The group that Meru came from had no idea what had been happening in the outside world. This group seems to be a little bit more informed as to what's going on, and they know Rose, and that's pretty good. Welcome to Ulara, the Spring Breath town. I'm the guard of the teleporting device, Karen. That's an interesting way of spelling Karen. I'm a good friend of Rose's. Long time no see. Long time. Rose, you're starting to regain a sense of time, aren't you? No, you've recovered a lot of other things too. Like humanity. No, it was Charlie Frommer. She's the person we have to meet now. So yeah, you may recognize the surname of this Charlie Frommer. There's someone called Melbu Frommer, who I actually forget if it was mentioned or not, but it's not really that much of a spoiler anyway. Melbu Frommer was like the Wingly leader who they took out 11,000 years ago. So obviously this is these Winglies were still around back then, and you know, there's still family of the people from 11,000 years around. Which, hello, little kid. It's been a while since the last time I saw a human other than Rose. It's been 11,000 and some years. That's funny because I thought that was a child, because he was running excitedly up and down a hallway, which is generally a thing that children tend to do. And cats love running excitedly up and down hallways and just sprinting for no reason. They're great at it. So, but apparently he wasn't a child or a cat. He's 11,000 years old, but time might have frozen for them. I'm not sure exactly how their magic works. So this seems to be some kind of inn, but they only provide their services after nightfall. So we're just going to have to head back out, but we'll keep that in mind for when it turns to night. Let's head over to the right first, but not forget that we haven't explored the left yet. And there's piranha plants. How are you doing, piranha plants? Miata, where is Charla? I don't know if it's Charlie, Charles, or Charles. Maybe it's something French. It looks French. You're wondering because you would normally be taking care of these babies, right? Those aren't babies, they're piranha plants. I know that... Yeah, oh yeah, so it must be about the moon signet. Oh, tell me what you know. Signet is the Signet sphere. The Signet sphere is a sealing device that was created to be the last barrier, just in case the moon child reached the moon that never set. So, the if you're following along from what happened before, we sort of made a mistake in that, we didn't make a mistake, we just didn't have any information. But the bad guys run off with the Moonchild and 3 sealing and using the divine moon objects. So that's... So there's a... Sorry, I got distracted there for a second. So there's the Signet, which are the sealing device, and then there's the divine moon objects, which can destroy it. And that's a good question, Dart, as to why they made these things that could destroy it. But that's the question you have to ask of everyone, isn't it? Like whenever there's a villain who has a cave and he's got a big red button that's like self-destruct the cave, like why would anyone ever install this? I'd like to tell you something. It wasn't only Winglies that wanted the Dragon campaign. However, it's true that Winglies and humans drove themselves to war. If you have time, let me tell you a story about the 2 Winglies who were the leaders. Alright, I'm always up for some backstory. Tell me. The first is Melbu Frama. He was the leader of the Winglies during the Dragon campaign. So here's what I was talking about. He was also the younger brother of Charlie. Being the leader of the Winglies meant being the ruler of the world. He professed that only Winglies had the right to live, and ruled over other species physically and mentally. Well, you know what happens to dictators throughout history. It turns out none of the dictators are left. Well, I mean, there's new dictators around, but, you know, they, at some point in the last, you know, few hundred years, had some sort of coup where they deposed the previous dictator. Like it's an endless cycle of dictators getting taken out, because that's how humans work. The other man who led the Winglies was Faust. Oh, this is interesting. This is some interesting back foreshadowing. I'm not sure how to say it, because he's not going to be relevant for a while. But he's the person that we were talking about earlier on, that he had magic powers, and we were unable. He was an optional boss fight near the end of Disc 3, but he's completely undefeatable because we don't have the 50 Stardust needed to, you know, weaken his powers. But at some point we can, you know, we can fight Faust, and I plan to. It's an optional fight. It's called the Vanishing Stone, but that's an item that said you can make the apparition disappear. So yeah, so that's what we need. We need this Vanishing Stone. We'll get it by collecting every piece of Stardust in the game, which are the optional collectibles. I realise I should probably mention that because, well, I haven't collected any Stardust in a long time. I've been pretty bad at collecting Stardust. I need to go back at some point to like all of the prior major cities and collect the Stardust. So yeah, Faust manipulated Flanville and killed any other species. However, the insanity of Faust ended with the collapse of Flanville. It was shot down by a weapon invented by humans, the spear shooter. Good old humans. Yeah, look, if your floating fortress can get taken out by a gun that shoots spears, maybe you should invest in some better defenses. Maybe you should be a bit more cautious of the humans. Have you ever considered that? Alright, well, in the next episode, oh Rosie darling,